Okay, good evening YouTube and welcome to episode 19 of the FPL Family. My name is Lee, this is Sam, and this is actually the second video we are shooting tonight. So I've just spent, and literally, I'm really fuming right now, so we spent 50 minutes doing this video on my new, so I've got a new iPhone, it's got the latest iOS, whatever's on there, 11 point something, right? Who knew that Apple were going to introduce a new way of compressing video files so that when you convert it over to Windows, the codecs don't like it? Oh man, I'm really glad. You've made me a cup of tea. I've got that. I've even got a biscuit here, guys. I never eat on this vlog, but I've got a biscuit just to chill me out a little bit. Tesco's finest biscuit. I'm actually coming off the back of not a bad game week. I was in really good mood. I was actually doing quite well.
The worst thing is the other video is really good.
The other video, it was good, but at least we've had a run through. We've had a run through, so now we can kind of do this video.
We've got no excuses for getting any of it wrong now.
No excuses for this being a rubbish video. This is going to be spot on because we've already done it once, and this is the second time we have to do it. Good evening, guys. I hope you are well. How did your game weeks go? Let's start with you. How did your game week go?
Yeah, it was fine. I got 50 points this week, which was
It's a good cup of tea, by the way. Thank you. It's calming me down.
Good. Good. 50 points, okay. Salvaged by a few key individuals. Salah, obviously, the man is a legend.
You were considering captaining Salah for a slight moment, were you? Or you were always on Kane, I think, weren't you?
Well, no, it all depended, didn't it? Because if Kane wasn't going to play,
yeah, sure,
potentially Salah would have been up there, definitely. Richarlison came up with for me today. Alonso finally kept me a clean sheet. That was nice.
I can't believe you're still on Alonso, but yeah, nice for him to finally return you some points. Yeah,
David Silva popping up with an assist for me today.
Is that all right? Is it
so I've done okay today. 50. It's all
50,
right.
Very good. All right, 50. I was pretty close to you. I think I was at 52. Similar sort of setup actually. So my Burnley defender Ben Mee, and we're going to come to Burnley later on.
I'm getting fed up with you with Burnley.
Oh, what fantastic value in the Burnley back line. I mean, Nick Pope, 25-year-old goalkeeper in there, 5 clean sheets in 8 for him. That's fabulous. This is all sounding really well rehearsed, isn't it? Because we've already done it once. Nick Pope, 5 clean sheets in 8, looking very good value, and Ben Mee as well. 9 points last game week, 8 this game week. More than happy with him. So 52 for me. Not bad. I mean, we're all a bit disappointed about the Kane captain fail, aren't we?
We are, and I think there's so many of us that it's affected. It's the same with the Elliott not keeping a clean sheet. It kind of takes out so many of the game.
Yeah,
that
I think you're right. I think you're right. Where were your differentials then? Alonso clearly a bit of a differential for you.
Yeah, so Alonso, although I'm not sure that he was that big a differential because I think a lot of people have got Azpilicueta, who obviously got an assist and a clean sheet. So
and you know, Azpilicueta to Morata, they've done that like 6 times so far this season. There isn't that many, or there may only be 1 or 2 combinations. I'm sure I read this somewhere. 1 or 2 combinations that are more potent than that.
Well, that is a new stat. We didn't have that in the last video.
We didn't have that last time.
No, we didn't.
This is something new that I remember reading on Twitter. And one of those is Ali to Kane, I think. That was a very high assist to goal ratio. Ali to Kane was high.
Okay.
And there was another one as well that I remember thinking, yeah, that would be really high. Can't think what it is, guys. But actually, Azpilicueta to Morata already has worked 6 times.
Interesting.
So there we go.
Yeah, so Alonso clean sheet, Silva. Just a lot of the players that I was expecting to do something didn't. The likes of Tammy Abraham, obviously Harry Kane, Firmino. That was disappointing in a game where Liverpool were excellent.
We'll come to him. Yeah. I just got to move this biscuit. It looks so good, but if I eat it on here, it'd be terrible, wouldn't it?
You'll end up with chocolate teeth, won't you?
Chocolate teeth. Let's get rid of it. Look, it's just staring me in the face. I'll eat that afterwards. Beautiful.
You can edit while eating that. Yeah. So fine game.
Okay. All right, so why don't we crack on with the game week then? As usual, guys, we will do another vlog. Well, we've got an international break now, haven't we? So we've actually got 2 weeks of no FPL and no Premier League, which is, yeah, I think you're right to pull that face. I think England have got a couple of decent friendlies against Germany and Brazil, which might be all right.
I like internationals, to be fair. I miss the fantasy banter.
Yeah, I miss FPL, and I'd miss doing these videos as well, because they're good fun, aren't they, to be fair? But what we'll do is about, I guess, 10 days-ish from now, we'll do our game week 12 review. And we'll look ahead to what's going on there. We'll do transfers, jammy picks, all the rest of it. But actually, it took me by surprise. The first time we filmed this, you've already done a transfer. Fill us in on that.
Yeah.
I mean, is it Okazaki again?
No, it's not Okazaki again. I must be honest, I sort of panicked a little bit last night because basically, as you well know, having to live with me, I've been berating Southampton for weeks and weeks now and getting more and more annoyed.
Yeah. We're all getting a bit, we're losing faith a little bit, I think, in that Southampton defence.
So just getting more and more annoyed with Ryan Bertrand because he's not a cheap defender.
No, he's definitely not, no.
And he was going down in value last night, so I just kind of went, oh, for goodness sake.
Rage transferred him out.
Well, it wasn't.
You love a rage transfer this season.
It was sort of a rage transfer, but it also wasn't because I did the transfer I planned to do anyway. So my plan was always Bertrand to Charlie Daniels this week. We spoke about that, didn't we, last vlog about Bournemouth's upcoming fixtures, and actually had a very good result on Saturday. So Charlie Daniels got a clean sheet, didn't he? And it looks as if they've got a few players coming back. Josh King coming back, Callum Wilson coming back. Another favourite of mine.
Yeah, you like Josh King. I actually like Callum Wilson from a few FPL seasons ago. He was gold, wasn't he, for a while, Callum Wilson. Actually missed a pretty gilt-edged chance at the weekend. So should he be on our radars now, given he should be on sort of 7-8 points, but wasn't, sadly.
I think, so it was a sort of rage transfer, but it was a planned rage transfer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of premeditated rage
I thought
transfer.
about it, so it wasn't like I just kind of went, get Bertrand out. It was definitely thought through in terms of who he was going to. It was just, it's happened 10 days earlier than I would have liked. I'd have liked to have got out of internationals just to make sure that one of my big assets didn't get injured during international break. Okay,
fair enough. Well, I think I'll be sticking on my one free transfer I got for this game week. Keeping an eye on Cedric. I think you're right, I want to off of him. But, it's the international break. There will be things going on. There will be injuries, we're sure of it. So I think the official FPL family stance is probably hold.
Totally.
Probably hold and wait to see what happens.
Don't do a Sam, right? I think.
Don't do a Sam, yeah. So where do we start then? So we've got...
Oh, well, I think there's only one place to start, really, isn't there? And that's with Super Sunday.
Well, I think when we did the preview for this game, we did it backwards, didn't we? Super Sunday first and then the Saturday games. It's actually interesting stuff coming out of the Saturday games, but I think you're right. Let's start with what we've just seen, Chelsea versus United. What did you make of that game? Some fireworks on November the 5th in that game. I expected it to be a bit of a dull affair, actually. Maybe even a 0-0, but here we are. It was a good game. And
I said to you, didn't I, that I was fairly confident that Chelsea were going to score in that game.
Yeah. You benched Phil Jones, right?
I did, and I had that on Instagram. I was kind of debating what to do with Jones, and in the end I went with my heart, which said Chelsea will score in that game. I also felt that Mourinho would handle that game differently. So playing against the likes of Spurs and Liverpool and the like, he's going to play in one way, and that's to get a draw, I think, is what we've seen so far this season. But this is at Stamford Bridge. He wanted to win that game.
He wants to win there, doesn't he? Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was why it was a game, and it was a good game.
And from an FPL perspective, what are the key points coming out of that one?
So Morata, I guess, stays up there as a point of fancy interest. I mean, I decided to swap him for Kane last week.
He's an interesting one, isn't he, Morata? Because I wonder whether. And Chelsea fans, forgive me for this, I wonder whether we might be a bit of a big game Charlie, because I wonder whether he's one of those that doesn't quite like it on a cold afternoon in Stoke, but if he's at home against United, he needs a performance. What I will say about the Chelsea performance today was I thought Kante's return fundamentally changed their whole attitude and outlook, and they all look far more comfortable with Kante in the middle there.
What does that mean for Pedro as a fantasy asset?
Well, I think it's absolutely one to have a look at. I mean, Pedro was dropped today. Willian, I think, come on, but was on the bench. I don't know. I think he's got to have Kante in there. And actually, I thought it released Bakayoko a bit more. So if you look at some of the heat maps, which we'll put on the left-hand side, looking at Bakayoko from today and Bakayoko in every other game up to today, there's a few different spots of him, hitting that penalty area and getting in a slightly more dangerous position. So be interesting to see how Conte wants to work with Bakayoko going forward. If he's going to play Kante in the middle there and release Bakayoko to go forward, he could be, I think he's 5'1", 5'2" in the game, something Bakayoko. If he's going to get up and around Morata, he's an option in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Morata obviously stays up there. The reason I ended up deciding to keep him, well, part of the reason why I decided to keep Firmino over Morata is because I'm still really interested in Hazard as a fantasy asset. So
what's your plan to get him? Well, you got 6 in the bank, haven't you? You got loads of money hoarded away.
I've always got money hoarded away.
Tom Carroll to Hazard coming up soon.
Well, nearly. I think I'm going to do Robbie Brady to Hazard.
Oh wow, there's an upgrade, by the way.
There's an upgrade, but then we'll talk about it when we get to the Man City game. I'm also toying with the idea of KDB.
Yeah, we'll come to that in a minute. We'll come to that. So Chelsea United, Chelsea looking good. United, what did you make of them? So everyone's thinking about Lukaku next game week because they got a couple of nice home games followed by a Watford away. So Lukaku, bit of a flat track bully, likes those nice home games. Are you thinking about getting him in, or what did you make of his performance today?
No, I'm not thinking about getting him in. And that's not just me being stubborn either. I mean, I've not had Lukaku yet this season, and for me, I don't see a reason to at the moment.
Yeah, you've not had him at all yet this year,
I've not
have
had
you?
him at all.
Yeah.
And watching him today, I actually felt like I would rather have Morata than Lukaku.
On the basis of today.
On the basis
maybe,
of today,
yeah,
but I felt like... I think my opinion will change on Lukaku when Pogba comes back, because I really feel...
Yes, he does change the dynamic.
I just feel that Lukaku hasn't been the same player in bigger games without Pogba there.
Okay.
And that goes for Mkhitaryan as well. It's fundamentally changed.
And it was interesting to see Jose's approach again. He likes this kind of bringing on Lingard and in particular Martial towards the end of games to help him get that goal that he needs. But Chelsea were far more resolute than some of the other teams that Martial scored against, and also
and they were winning.
Well, yeah. So this is it. So United tend to be either drawing or maybe winning 1-0, and then he'll bring on Martial because the other team's got a bomb forward, leaving space in behind for Martial, and then Martial scores. Today they're losing. Chelsea kind of sit in and go, well, we're going to give you any space in behind. You come and attack us and see what happens. And actually, it was more Fellaini that was causing more of an issue. And towards the end of the game, United were just humping it to Fellaini, and he was, to be fair, making he was a handful, and people were getting in and around him and feeding off the scraps. But Martial was nothing in that game. And actually, when he came on, I thought that was going to be the case.
Okay. Well, let's go to City then next, because I think there's some really interesting fancy things to say about it. Firstly, I wasn't surprised to see City take 3 points.
Did you win the Pep lottery? Did you have your players playing?
Well, I'm out of it, aren't I? I've only got Silva and Otamendi now, and they always play. So
that's hardly out of it. It's hardly out of it. I mean,
well,
Silva,
I'm out of it in terms of the risk of rotation, is what I mean, I guess.
I don't think you're immune to it because it's Pep, but I think those two are safer picks than some others. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I think what was really interesting today, watching Man City, is I thought Man City looked just far better than Arsenal. Arsenal, they've definitely got some players in there, and when Lacazette came on, it did change the way that Arsenal were playing.
He come on to make a point, didn't he, today? Lacazette dropped him and put Sanchez up there, and Lacazette come on was just like, no, I should be up front. Yeah. I'm going to score. So fair play to him.
But I think from a fantasy point of view, there's only a few players out there now that we really need to talk about. I mean, there's the Sterling Sané saga that goes on and on and on. But I think for me, the one who's becoming increasingly valuable as a fantasy asset is KDB. Now, having said a few game weeks ago that KDB, at the beginning of the season, if we reverse 8 game weeks, we were all talking about he was playing too deep and don't have him and this, that and the other.
Great goal though, wasn't it? Took it completely out of nothing really, that first goal, breaking the deadlock. And
I think actually now, given the players around him in value, so because he's, what is he, 10 now? Was it 10-ish?
Something like that, yeah.
When you've got the likes of Eriksen and at 9.7, not far behind him, who's not doing much week in, week out.
Well,
then you've got KDB.
Yeah. And as you know, I'm sitting on Eriksen, and I think he's 9.7 in the game, not worth 9.6 to me. That's his third successive blank now. We'll come to Spurs in a minute because I didn't think you looked quite at the races today. But I'm looking at that. I'm looking at that now. I'm thinking, well, I'm not too much money away from a Hazard or KDB. Or do I downgrade to Sané? Because it seems as if Sané seems to be getting reasonably regular starts now in that Pep side because of his natural ability to be left-footed on that left side. Or do I save myself a ton of money and go Sterling? Because even with curtailed minutes, he can still come up and do the business. So
he can.
Dropping Eriksen to a City midfielder
because at the moment,
and freeing up a bit of money seems like a good thing to do.
Because you've just got Jesus right at the moment.
I have, because I kind of stubbornly went, well, I don't really want to be part of this whole Pep midfield lottery thing. But I'm looking at their fixtures coming up, and all right, Leicester away looks trickier, but I still would back them there. Huddersfield away, Southampton at home, West Ham at home. Game week 14 and 15, Man City home to Southampton and then home to West Ham. That's frightening if you've not got, if you're not on a Sané and Jesus or Aguero and Sterling or maybe even KDB. I think you want to be on them. You've got to be on them for those.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I just think KDB is definitely reasserting himself as a possible fantasy asset, and he's up there with Hazard for me in terms of where am I going.
Okay, Nicholas Otamendi got his 5th booking sadly, so he's suspended for a game. What are you doing with him? Because you're on Otamendi, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I'll be benching him. because I've already made my transfer. But also, even if I hadn't have made my transfer, I still would have benched him. He's worth too much to me in terms of I've had him for a long time.
Sure, yeah, sure.
It's only one game. City's fixtures look good. He'll go on my bench. I'll just play Jones.
I think it's a sensible option, yeah. And I think your defence looks pretty good actually. So you've got more than enough to cover him to bench for a week. Yeah, I think
it's
that's
fine.
All right. I think that's all right.
So yeah, I'll bench him. But yeah, I think if you've got Ottoman, unless you've got him really recently and he hasn't gone up in value, then potentially I suppose you could do a transfer. But...
Okay, and Arsenal. I mean, Lacazette's come on and got the goal. I'll be honest. I'm not buzzing to get on any of their assets really. I mean, Kolasinac last game week gave us something to think about, didn't he? With his 14 or 16 points or whatever he got.
Yeah, but how often is a defender gonna score?
Well, he does get in those dangerous positions, in my opinion. But am I, gagging to get on him at the minute? No, because I look around the rest of the defence and I think there's real good value in, Huddersfield defenders, and Burnley double up looks really good. And then I look at, dare I even say it, players like Moreno and the Spurs defence and Jones. You want these guys. So actually, shelling out over 6 million for Kolasinac when he might return 1 in 10 games
and
or
he's
1
got
in a
to
few
play us
games.
next.
Yeah, plus he's got tough games coming up. So, no, I'm not really buzzing to get on Arsenal assets. Ramsey, I think, got an assist for Lacazette's goal, and he represents all right value at 7, I think. But outside of that, you've been lording over Ozil for a couple of weeks. I can see why, but again, for me, Arsenal fans, tell us what you think. And I haven't watched Arsenal fan TV yet, but I'm gonna. Ozil again. It's a big game. They needed him. He wasn't really there. He wasn't really in the game. He got a bit bossed out of it and a bit kicked about. So I'm not thinking I want to get Ozil anytime soon, for example.
I think he's one that I'm continuing to watch. He's a I don't know. I just think he's a really good player. Okay. Potentially, he's one to watch. I'm not going to get him yet, certainly not, but I'm watching.
All right, and Spurs versus Palace. So again, let's not touch on Kane. We're all a bit disappointed about that. I think wasn't really in the game much, was he? I don't know if he had mega chances.
Well, I'm not being funny, but this was potentially one of the worst games for fantasy managers going this weekend. What with Davis missing out. Trippier missing out. Ali missing out. Lloris missing out.
Those fullbacks, though, that's going to happen. It's going to... So we've said before with Davis, if you're still on Davis, all right, when he plays, he'll get you something, I'm sure.
Well, Trippier, I think, deserved the rest after Wednesday night.
Oh, Trippier was bombing up and down that side against Real. He deserved a rest, no doubt about it.
I think the one thing I will say is that what was noticeable for me today was that we did not look the same in terms of attacking prowess without Davis and Trippier. Those two guys
give you something, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just their defensive... Hello, Harry. It's not just their defensive qualities, because I think actually Aurier and Rose did a fine job there. It's more the attacking element of their game that we really missed that today. And
Dele Alli, do you think this is an injury, or do you think this is a Pochettino injury that kind of gets him out of England duty for a couple of weeks?
Okay, well look, I always protect Pochettino. In Poch we trust. However, I watched an interview with Harry, one of the Spurs internal ones that they do after games, after the Real Madrid game, and that boy was fine. There was no. I think it's a bit of a phantom injury, isn't it? I mean, he's come out and said he's got a hamstring strain. He's probably out for a couple of weeks. Well, isn't that convenient? Do you know what I mean? I guarantee you he's playing against Arsenal in the first day.
He will be playing that London derby. In my opinion.
What I will say is I think Palace were very, very unlucky to not get something from that game. I thought we were incredibly... Given the percentage that we had in versus them, we had 60-something%, 68% I think, of the possession. But that means how he's missed that sitter today, I just don't know. I think Palace can feel hard done by.
Yeah, and actually the goalkeeper today, your third choice goalkeeper, Gazzaniga, who wasn't even in FPL, by the way, got a clean sheet and 2 bonus points. So he's added into the game. No one's got him this game week because they can't have. Suddenly he's on 8 points. So I don't think he's an option because I'm guessing Lloris comes straight back in clearly.
Well, Lloris has said he's out for 2 weeks. Oh, funnily
out for 2 weeks, yeah.
So he'll be back for Arsenal. So and also,
wonder how many more phantom injuries we're going to get over the next few days. They're going to be loads. Oh yeah, got a little bit of a calf strain. About 2 weeks that'll be. Yeah, not just from Poch, by the way. This will be everybody.
So yeah, I mean, I think yes, Captain Kane was a disappointment to a lot of people. Definitely was to me. The missing Spurs players, I would expect to see Trippier and Davies back because I think that they are our best our best players in those positions at the moment.
They look like it, don't they? Look like it.
I think we'll see them against Arsenal. So if you've got them, particularly if you've got Ben Davies coming on for a 1-point cameo, that's really irritating. But if you've got
that was annoying.
If you've got the two of them, I'll expect to see them against Arsenal. So don't throw the the baby out of the dishwater.
And a quick shout out for Son as well, right? So I really like him. I think he's he doesn't moan when he's out the side. He works hard when he comes into the team. He's a squad player. He very much works for the team. Fantastic finish, by the way, and deserved to win any game, that goal at the weekend. But he's now the highest scoring Asian player in Premier League history, I think.
Is that right?
So there's actually some great stats around this guy. And for a player that doesn't always play week in, week out, that is some accolade, in my opinion.
I think he is one of the nice... you see him, he's always laughing, always joking.
Yeah.
He brings
FPL
a real element.
asset, though.
I think...
Started 4 in a row now.
Okay, so I think that there is an element of rotation risk, obviously, with Sonny.
Yeah.
Which you would get if, it's almost getting into Pep's bandwagon, isn't it, I guess. But, yeah, I think there is potential there. A lot cheaper than the likes of Eriksen and Ali, yet he seems to be the one that's producing.
Well, he seems to be popping up with goals at important times, doesn't he? Which is a bit of a trait of his. Last season, when was it Kane that was injured, and he kind of played false nine for a few games, or maybe he played in a front three, and he popped up with some very important goals.
Will he start against Arsenal?
Don't know.
I'm not sure.
Don't know.
Because Ali should be back, so not sure.
All right then. Okay, well, let's complete
let's finish Sunday.
Complete Super Sunday with what was not televised game, but hell of a game.
Well, we were watching the other game, weren't we? Just getting goal flashes, thinking, what on earth's going on at Everton?
Watford 2-0 up at Everton, and we're all sitting there thinking, here we go again. Poor old Everton fans having a nightmare. Losing at home to Watford. Richarlison got a goal, so we're both happy with that, and the FPL community was happy with that because I think a lot of us have got Richarlison in for this period of 4 games to see how he gets on. Yeah. And then, I don't know what happened. We're watching Chelsea and Man United, so I don't know if it was happened at half-time or whether Unsworth's come, marching down the touchline, barking orders. But, 3-2, what a turnaround. By the way,
it was
in case you missed it, cleverly missed a penalty on 96 minutes for Watford, by the way. Would have been a Richarlison assist,
don't tell
which the community are very upset about. So it could have been 3-3, but in the end, Everton get the win 3-2. How important was that for them?
It's massive for Everton. It's absolutely massive. I think it's hard one to take for Watford as well. Losing a 2-0 lead, that's going to take its toll on them. Probably good job that they've got international break now to recover from it. But yeah, I think from Everton's point of view, it's a good movement forward for them to go from 2-0 down to win the game. That's going to boost motivation.
It's a shot in the arm, isn't it? It's a real shot in the arm.
Absolutely. And leading into that international break, they're going out on a high now in a way that they haven't been at all this season. So now it's just going to be down to, can the club seal a good manager? And if they can, then that's going to be a real buoyant, it's going to potentially send Everton back the right way.
Yeah, let's hope so. Everton are a big club; they deserve to do well. Even as a red, they're a big club. They deserve to do well. Everton have got a decent fan base up there. I don't think it's a shock that if you look at the players that scored or created or did something FPL wise in that game. So Nias, I think Lennon got an assist. Calvert-Lewin on the score sheet. Who else was there? Lookman as well. I think got an assist. So all of these guys, what's the common denominator? Well, they're all quick, right? So I'm guessing, I don't know, I haven't seen the game. I'll watch it on Match of the Day 2 tonight. I wouldn't be surprised to see that actually Watford 2-0 up, all the slow players were playing for Everton. All of a sudden, he brings on maybe Nias. I don't know if Nias might have started actually, but he's maybe brought on Lookman and Calvert-Lewin.
Calvert-Lewin definitely didn't start, did he?
Yeah, so these players are coming on, they're making a difference. You're getting in dangerous areas. You inject a bit of pace into that side, even though there might not be the names like Rooney and Sigurdsson and Klassen, all these players that, the big names that should be playing for Everton. The guys that are coming on that have got pace, like Nias and like Lookman and like Calvert-Lewin.
You've said this before.
They will give defenders problems. And Watford presumably didn't know what hit them as soon as these guys come on. So that's something that Unsworth needs to look at. Or maybe, as you rightly say, Sean Dyche might have to have a look at over the international break.
I really hope for Burnley that it's not Sean Dyche, because I think Burnley, and we can talk about them next actually.
Well, that's a nice segue, so go on. So let's discuss Burnley. So they are having a cracking season.
Well, I just think
cracking season.
They just, what are they, like 6th or something now? Or they're riding high up
joint
in the
points
league.
With Liverpool and I think Arsenal.
I just think that they are so rock solid at the back. Given that Pope is not their first choice keeper.
Totally, totally.
He looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
For the money that he is as a fantasy asset as well.
And Ben Mee, happy days. 9 points last game week, 8 this game week.
Yeah, I really don't like Ben Mee. He upsets me every single week. The man upsets me.
But listen, you can't sit here with no Burnley cover, yet have got Bertrand, Alonso, and who else have you got in the back?
Otamendi,
that's okay. You can have him. You like defenders from the big sides, don't you? You're missing out. Burnley are the ones to back.
It's not necessarily that, because I have got my Newcastle defender in there as well. But it's more that I think, if I'm really totally honest, I just didn't expect Burnley to go on this good a run that they have been. I didn't expect them,
I mean, if you look at
defensively to be this good.
You look at the stats from last season away from home, they were absolutely woeful. But this season they've no, it's gone. It's okay. Don't do it right into the camera, whatever you do. But this season, away from home, they've got their act together. They seem to be pulling out decent results against the big boys, even. We've said before, gone to Anfield, gone to Wembley, got decent results. And at home, they look impenetrable. I mean, you're right, Nick Pope's come in, 25 years of age. He has stepped right up to the mark, to the point where... Is Heaton going to get his spot back? I don't know. Potentially. Nick Pope looks brilliant.
He's going to have to fight for it, I'd say.
Absolutely. And then you've got, Ben Mee and Ward and Tarkowski all doing great. So a lot of people considering a Burnley double up. For me, that's maybe a step too far. But if you look at their fixtures going forward, Swansea at home, you'd fancy them there. Arsenal at home, maybe not a clean sheet there. But after that, Bournemouth away, Leicester away, Watford at home. Some nice fixtures here. I think you want to be on at least one Burnley defender.
But my issue with Burnley at the moment is, and I totally agree with you with how they're playing, but if they lose their manager...
It'll have an impact for sure, yeah. I mean, we'll wait and see what sort of impact it's going to have, and it's still yet to be announced. It's still rumour, isn't it? But yes, I suspect it will probably have some sort of impact.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Great
header by Sam Vokes, by the way, at the weekend. If you've not seen that, guys, check out the Burnley goal from the weekend. That was a fantastic goal.
Sorry, I keep feeling like I'm going to sneeze, but I think I'm okay.
Your nose is really red.
I know, I don't know what's going on. I just really need to sneeze. Right, where should we go next? Let's go to Brighton. Why not? Swansea 0, Brighton 1.
Well, after sitting there on the last vlog and giving you some stick for putting Glenn Murray on the radar, there he is.
Just occasionally, I'm all right on.
Well, I mean, that's 3 and 3 for the big man now, right? He's whatever he is, 33, 34, but... Looks like an alright acquisition. I mean, did you see the goal? It's very much kind of come off his knee and he sort of bundled it in. But the ball in from knockout was spot on. By the way, Brilliant.
And he's been one that we've talked about in the past on here. And I think he was a jammy pick one week. Probably one that didn't come.
People don't go for him because of Gross, though, right?
I agree.
Gross is far more consistent.
But I think when you watch Brighton from a team point of view, forgetting Fantasy League for just a second, Anthony Knockaert is a driving force in that team. He's really key. And it seems potentially, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if this continues moving forward, because this game week he's got involved in the fantasy points, which is great. For me at the moment, he wouldn't be a fantasy asset because he's playing that, a bit like Firmino, and go to Liverpool next, that he's playing a pivotal point in moving the ball around, getting into those positions, but it's not him that's creating the opportunities, it's not him that's assisting, it's almost the assist of the assist.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
Well, he's proved you wrong this game week. I mean, I think he's definitely one to have a look at.
Absolutely. But we'll see if he does it again, I think is the key.
Yeah,
because he'll play well again, but will he score fantasy points?
Okay. And Swansea, I think, things aren't quite right at Swansea at the minute. They seem to be having a bit of a sticky patch. I mean, I've got 2 of their players. I've got Norton at the back, who I'm pretty keen to get rid of right now because I think there's other value in that sort of 4.5 bracket, not least at Liverpool, which we'll come to in a second. But I've got Tom Carroll. All right, he's a filler, so I'm not looking to make any sweeping changes there. He's not really going to influence my decisions.
Week, so,
he's kind of playing. He's going to get the odd assist, but he's pretty uninspirational. So talk to me about Tammy Abraham, because Swansea are not scoring a lot of goals. When they do, he's involved, but they're not creating enough, in my opinion.
No, they're not. You're right. However, I have always said right from the very beginning of this game, this year, I've decided to play with 2 strikers. So it was never my intention to have a third big hitter, if you like.
Yeah.
So I was always looking at...
You've been so fickle with that third one, though. You're going to go Murray, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm going to stick with Tammy because I've kind of come to the basis that I need to stabilise what I'm doing a little bit with my strike force, because that will allow me to decide what I'm doing with my midfield in terms of money and how much I'm spending. Because if I want Hazard or KDB, I've just got to think about where that's going. So for me, I'm going to stick on Tammy. I feel like, you know, he's never going to set the world on fire. He's never going to score me, but he's probably never going to get me a hat-trick. However, if he ticks over and plays on game weeks when I need him, that's okay with me.
Let's see how he gets on international duty, because he's been called up to the England squad alongside Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Joe Gomez. So if you were the young Lions going to the full,
and Harry Winks is going as well.
Harry Winks is going, so I'm really keen to see how those guys get on. And Tammy Abraham, definitely keeping an eye on him. Clearly, we want them to all stay injury-free from an FPL perspective. So let's see what happens over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, well let's move on then and talk about Liverpool, because I think for me I've got issues with both of my, well, I had issues with all my strikers this week, but so Firmino, it was a big decision for me going into this game week was, well, I'm bringing Kane back, so who am I bringing him back for? Is it Morata? Is it Firmino? And eventually I decided that I felt Liverpool had the best games moving forward. I mean, they were playing West Ham, Chelsea were playing Man United, but I also felt that your games going forward offered me a lot of potential with Firmino. And I think he played fantastically well against West Ham. However, he's not getting into the fantasy points, which is frustrating in a game where you score 4 goals.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I said this on Twitter to a couple of people. You know, Firmino, I think, is a really, really great Premier League player. He's great in our side. He moves defenders around in ways that other strikers don't, or other false nines don't, if you can still consider him a false nine. I think you can consider him a striker now. It was his 3rd full game in a week. So, you know, he's a pretty fit guy. The amount of movement that this guy does game in, game out is pretty incredible. And that just opens up the space, and it opens up opportunities for Salah and Mane. And that is why those guys get all the plaudits and all the FPL points, because Firmino sits in there and does all the hard work. So, as a player, very, very important to the way Liverpool play. As an FPL asset, not for me. I think there's other value there in and around that bracket, as well as lower down if you're going into the Murrays and the Abrahams, potentially.
I agree with you. However, you are going to play Southampton next. And the Southampton cannot defend for toffee this season. I don't know quite what is going on down there. Okay. So there is absolutely no way that I'm getting Firmino out before that Liverpool-Southampton game. And
presumably you want to keep Mo Salah, who looks like an absolute goal machine.
I think that man...
He's a goal machine this season. He's a fantastic signing.
I think he'll be in my team all season, to be honest. He's amazing. The only time he may leave my team, I guess it all depends, because with Mane coming back, obviously I had Mane originally.
Sure.
And then he got did he get sent?
He was suspended for the red card at City, and then he got a bit of a hamstring injury. It kept him out for the last month or so.
And I got him out because he got sent off, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I got Salah instead. Now it'll be just interesting to watch, because obviously most people don't have Mane anymore, whereas a lot of people have got Salah. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it, because I'm not having that great a season, so I'm going to need some differentials. So I need to think about Salah from that point of view. But I just think the man is a genius when it comes to football. He reads the game so well.
He looks very, very good, doesn't he? And I think his pace is causing defenders all over the shop problems. A shout out to the guys in defence. So I think for a change, we didn't.
They didn't keep a clean sheet.
Didn't keep a clean sheet, but it didn't look too bad. You know, without Lovren, they look a bit more. I'm not saying that Clavan is a great defender, because he's not, but they do look a little bit more organised. I think even Mignolet, who was captain for the game, actually would he took it upon himself to kind of rally the troops and sort them out a little bit more. 4.5, Alberto Moreno. I've sat here week after week and not been his biggest fan, and I'm still not. And if he was 5 in FPL, I don't think I'd even be considering him. But at 4.5, I'm looking at maybe I'd far rather have him over Norton right now, because we're keeping clean sheets at home. We've got some nice home games coming up, and he might get the odd assist every now and again. So he does look a pretty different player.
I literally cannot.
Yeah, I know, right? So I've changed my opinion on him quite significantly.
He said this when we originally filmed it, and I nearly fell off my chair. We are like an hour and a half ago we filmed this originally, and I still cannot believe these words are leaving your mouth.
He's changed a lot. He's credit where it's due.
So have you, clearly.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be saying it if I didn't think it, right? If I thought Moreno was still guff, I'd be saying Moreno is still guff. And actually, in that game, I thought there was a 10 or 15 minute spell where actually Joe Gomez looked really shaky, and that was that was when Lanzini did him for the goal. He's young; he'll learn from that. But Moreno looked reasonably solid for the game.
All right. Well, when we do our preview of game week 12, we'll maybe stick him on the radar with a little Lee put him here comment next to it.
Go on then, rattle through the rest of these games. Stoke 2, Leicester 2. Let's go there.
I don't know.
Mahrez in the goals again, right?
Yeah, but is this... Okay, so Mahrez as a fantasy asset, is this just Mahrez playing for his new manager? Is he going to just disappear off the scene again in a week's time?
For me, he's got a bit of a reputation for this, isn't it? If there's a transfer window coming up, or if there's a new manager to impress, he does up his game, in my opinion. But that's not a bad thing. He's in the goals, right? So,
is he going to stay there
on
enough
on that logic? Should we be getting him in?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? Because if it's going to be a standard, I want to get sold, like it was at the beginning of the season, then no, you don't get him, because it's only going to be a couple of weeks of playing well, and then he's going to go back to having a sulk and being rubbish. Or is it going to be a change in him, the new manager? I guess it's one to watch, and just let's see what happens with him. We had him on the radar, I think, last week, and he's popped up with another goal this week. I think another interesting one for me at Leicester is Harry Maguire. We've had him on the radar before. I think, popping up with an assist today. Again, he's another one to keep a little eye on. For me, there's no one in the Stoke team that I really think, yes, I must have them. But if you're thinking about differentials, obviously Shaqiri, right up there.
Yeah, I think going back to Leicester, if you look at, just have a look at their fixtures now. So they've got City and Spurs, I think, in the next 3. But after that, from game week 15 onwards, Burnley at home, Newcastle, Southampton, Crystal Palace. So I think you're right to take the approach that says, well, let's keep an eye on Mahrez, let's keep an eye on Damari Gray, who again I thought played well at the weekend.
Glad to see Vardy doing nothing though, because a lot of people still got him.
Yes, indeed, yeah, indeed. So
from a personal point of view,
yeah. But those Leicester fixtures do look really good in a few weeks. Yeah. So maybe keep an eye on Mahrez, keep an eye on Damari Gray. I think you're right about Stoke. I think we sat here on the last vlog and said, well, I'm not really buzzing to get on any Stoke assets, but if you were thinking about getting on one, I think Shaqiri had just scored the winner up at Newcastle, or maybe he got some points out of that game by scoring. So we were going, well, maybe Shaqiri.
And seems to be hitting, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, the guys seem to be hitting a little bit of form. I'm just going to take a look at the Stoke fixtures as well and see kind of what they're doing.
I don't know. I just don't feel like...
Brighton and Palace away, Liverpool at home, Swansea at home. So a bit of a mixed bag for those guys. I'm not jumping on them.
Yeah, and I think at the moment there's better assets out there potentially than those ones. But, cheap assets from Stoke potentially. Mahrez, I certainly think he needs a bit of a watch before you get on him.
Shaqiri's only owned by, I think, like 3% of the game.
Is that
so
right?
It's a bit of a differential. If you wanted a bit of a jammy pick for next week, could be one to have a look at.
Okay, let's rattle on then.
Huddersfield 1, West Brom 0. What do we say about that? West Brom starting lineup, if you saw it, it was something like 5 defenders, 3 holding midfielders and Jay Rodriguez and a goalkeeper. It was so defensive.
But it gets worse when you consider that for a large percentage of that game, they're playing against 10 men.
Yeah, it was very unambitious. And actually, if you look on Twitter, there's a few people calling for Pulis's head, actually. A lot of people saying that they've had enough of this guy, right?
Yeah, and I can sort of understand that, I'm afraid.
I can. And Huddersfield? Anything to say about those guys?
The one thing I would like to say about Huddersfield is Tom Ince, I thought, looked fantastic in that first half.
Tom Ince?
Yeah, really...
He's a kind of pre-season favourite, wasn't he? But hasn't really done the business yet.
And from a fancy point of view, still hasn't really done anything, but looked really threatening, looked really attacking, really interested, really everywhere, all over the field.
Okay.
So I think he's one to watch, definitely, moving forward, because if Huddersfield continue to play as they are, he's definitely got potential.
All right, okay. And Newcastle 0, Bournemouth 1. Talk us through that one. Twitter went crazy when Elliott conceded again. It's this poor guy. He's getting absolutely killed on Twitter every time he concedes a goal because we pretty much all got him.
He's so cheap as well. That's the problem. He's like so cheap, so everyone's got him, and everyone played him. And then we were all like, "Oh, nice 7 points." He was on for 2 bonus points, and then
he was looking like a 9-pointer, wasn't he, Elliott? Yeah, he was looking at a 9-pointer.
So frustrating, but yeah, it is what it is. Bournemouth, I think, are the more interesting one. So as you know, I've gone on the Charlie Daniels bandwagon. It's lifted Bournemouth out of the relegation zone, that win. I think for them, that's massive momentum moving forward.
So I don't think Charlie Daniels is a bandwagon yet. I think you've got
No,
on
I
him at
don't
the
think
right
so.
time, and I think I think a couple of clean sheets in the next couple of games, which absolutely could happen because they've got some nice fixtures going forward. If he gets an assist in one of those games, then we're going to see a bandwagon.
Might score another wonder goal.
I think it's a very shrewd signing actually by yourself, if I do say so.
Oh, thank you. Hang on a minute, there's a bit of praise there.
Yeah.
We didn't get that in the last video
Well,
either.
that's what I'm thinking of myself actually. I mean, I'm obviously looking for a route out of Cedric, and at the minute, I really, my heart's saying I want to get Moreno just because I think it would make these vlogs really interesting. Imagine a clean sheet and a goal from Moreno in it. Oh, can you imagine?
Do you know, it's bad enough watching Liverpool with you from a personal relationship point of view, because we both get so stressed watching our own teams, get so annoyed with them. So if you've then got Moreno in your fancy team as well, it's going to be hell.
I would love it. I think my head kind of says Charlie Daniels might be a bit better. He's played every minute of every game so far this year, so he's about as nailed on as it gets. With Moreno, particularly around the Champions League, there's still that slight concern that Robertson might come in and do something, but Moreno does look pretty nailed on, I think. So
okay, well,
is that all the games?
That's it. We've covered everybody.
Awesome. All right, awesome. Do you want to have a quick look at the league? How's the league getting on? Do you want to have a quick look?
Well, we
at
did
who's
try and do
getting
this
on?
last time, but it hadn't updated. But let's have a look now.
That might be one of the positive things to come out of the video screwing up the first time and seeing what happens. I'm assuming Deshwell. This is
Oh, I've got lots of green arrows going on this week.
You're on green arrows, are you, this week?
That never happens.
That is
right,
good.
let's have a little look.
So click on Deshwell. Let's see what score he's got for this game week.
Yes, it's update.
52 for Deshwell, very good. So he has got Richarlison, very good. Salah, very good. Aguero, very good. All right, 52 is a pretty good score for this game week. Veek's coming back at him though, 58. So there's still a bit of a gap between those guys. Duffy, I like Duffy,
Yeah,
and I like the look of some of those defenders at the back.
He's got some really interesting players in that team, like Hazard and Morata. If they start really nailing on, he could be flying up there and catching up.
Yeah. A quick word about, so I know that, scroll down a bit, there he is, Gavin. I know Gavin tunes in every week, so
Hi,
Gavin, hope you're well. How did you get on this game week? 41, so not bad.
Oh, Gavin, the bench. You've done what I normally do and have an amazing bench.
on the bench, Maguire on the bench.
That's frustrating. But what would you do, those defenders?
Got Salah though, that's the important one. And there you go, Burnley defender, you see? You need a Burnley defender. It's the way forward to win FPL this year. Is a Burnley double up.
Well, I'm surprised I've got green arrows. That means you must have green arrows. Happy days.
I think we've both got green arrows, which is not... That's pretty good. We'll take that, I think.
Phone.
I think we'll take that.
International back happy. What on earth
take that. All right. Okay, so we are now off for a couple of weeks. We've got an international break. Let's see how all the FPL assets
Let's hope they all come through it in one piece.
Absolutely. I always find the game week after an international break is always really interesting because you've got players coming off flights. You've got players coming back from injury, like Dele Alli.
Well, I'll tell you something. There'll be no rotation risks at Spurs in next game week.
I think they're going to put out a full... They will want to beat
Arsenal.
Arsenal.
We are going to the Emirates.
They will want to beat Arsenal for sure. And actually, I'm looking at where my captain choices might be for next game week. Already having a look at that.
I've told you before. Always captain.
I think that... Well...
Telling you.
Well, yes, it's very difficult. I mean, whenever I captain Kane... He flops.
Yeah, you stay off of it, actually.
Actually, whenever I don't captain him, get him out, he gets 16 points. So whenever I captain him, he's a flop. But I'm actually looking at next game week and thinking, well, Lukaku, home to Newcastle, I think. Liverpool, home to Southampton. I think Chelsea go to West Brom.
Wow.
West Brom and Southampton look terribly out of form. So
I agree.
The fact that I've got Lukaku at home against Newcastle, you worried about that one?
No, I got Firmino. You
happy with Firmino? How does he come into the equation?
He's my opposition to your Lukaku.
You've still got 6 million in the bank, haven't you? You could do Tammy Abraham to Lukaku.
I could, but I think I want to do Robbie Brady to either Morata or KDB.
Robbie Brady to KDB has got to be the biggest upgrade I've ever heard in Fantasy League. 6 million in the bank is absolutely outrageous. I think I've got about 0.1 and I'm happy with that. That means I'm spending it wisely. 6 million in the bank. We can't carry on this way.
Because I kept downgrading people, didn't I?
Oh, it's got to end. You've got to spend that money. You've got to spend it. Stop hoarding it.
No, it's going to end. It's going to end. It's going to be a Robbie Brady upgrade, but I just don't know which one I want yet. So it'll be in the next game week.
Very good. All right. Well, we will vlog in about 10 days from now, and you can find out how many points Sam has spent. You've already done your transfer.
I'm not spending any more.
There's a minus 12 coming in, isn't there? There's a minus 8 or minus 12 coming in.
I've never done minus 8 or minus 12.
In all the years you've played.
In all the years, no.
And I'm having a look, and I want to get rid of Cedric. There's a couple of others I want to get rid of too.
There you go. Then you're more likely to do minus 12 than me.
I don't know, but one thing's for sure, I will be waiting until after the international break. I know there's going to be injuries, there's going to be problems that I will have to fix. So we will see you guys in about 10 days from now, where we will look ahead to game week 12. We'll look at the injuries and the performances over the international break. Keep following us as usual at FPL Family on Twitter, at FPL Family on Instagram. Leave your comments below. How did you get on this game week? Have you had a look? Have you had a cheeky look at game week 12? Who's your captain? Who are you thinking about potentially for captain next game week? I think it's too far away, isn't it? Too far away to have a look. Yeah. Put FPL down for a couple of days if you can.
Oh, I hate
if
that.
you can.
What a thing to say.
What a thing to say. All right, I think that's it. Good night from me.
And from me.
Good night, guys. Cheers.
See you later. Bye.